Hello and welcome again to another assembly video. I'm Rick, creator of Revelation Skirmish, a destructive combined arms miniatures game that you can either 3D print from home or you can buy pre-printed models from us. Now in this video I'm going to be assembling a ORCA, or more specifically the subfaction Haven Musketeer WarMech. Now you can purchase this model from our site, link is in the description below. All right, so this kit comes with a medium or a 50mm WarMech base. Notches are going to indicate the rear arc. And you got a number of different parts here if you buy the kit pre-printed from us. So you have obviously the main torso, the cannon, which is going to plug here into the shoulder, just actually inside of the shoulder. We've got a shoulder piece that will house our laser, which is our right arm. We have this little tiny piece here that's a sensor node that'll plug into the torso. The left arm, which also has the hand detach, we'll be attaching that. The right, left leg, and the pelvis. So typically what I like to do when it comes to assembling most of these, I like to go ahead and get the feet and the pelvis, or the legs and the pelvis if they're not already one piece, because some of our kits, the legs will be printed as a single assembly portion. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and attach this small sensor node here, this optical sensor, to the underside of the torso. It's going to plug right here underneath the nose of the face. So to be able to tell which direction this is, it's a small part, so it's kind of hard to see on the camera. But firstly, you'll see the peg, that's going to be what plugs into the nose. On the bottom side, it's basically a round kind of dome, but if you feel, you'll feel where there is this small rectangular kind of sloped panel. That is considered to be the front of the optic. So I'm gonna do just a portion of glue, and I'm probably just gonna have this aiming probably basically just straight ahead. Make sure that it's level. I'm just going to leave this here to dry while we move on. So let's do the legs. In this scenario, this is considered to be the braced musketeer. Basically, it's kind of planting its feet and it's about ready to fire its cannon at something that's probably pretty far away, because this mech can be kind of used in lore as an artillery piece. So what we're going to do, we'll just slide these arms out of the way for the moment. So what we're going to do, kind of just get a strategy of how we want to plant these feet. Make sure that both feet are completely flat, but also how the pelvis is going to kind of sit, because we want to make sure that the angle is correct, because it's preparing to fire. So we want it kind of firmly planted, more or less. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and place glue on both of the legs. I find that in situations like this, sometimes it's easier to just go ahead and try to assemble both together very quickly, and then that way I'm able to get it more in place of how I would like it to be than if I were to try to glue one leg and then try to make sure and hope that I glued it at the right angle, and now that the other one can also do it. And it's also worth pointing out, I already knew because I've assembled these before, but it's worth pointing out that the pelvis, flip this up here, you see this kind of like upside down triangular notch in the front. That is the front of the pelvis. If you were to flip it over, it would look very different, and so that way you kind of know. But you can see, boom, just like that, that's how quick and easy it can be to assemble the legs. So we'll go ahead and anchor this down. And since I'm going to be attempting to paint this and then removing it later, I'm not going to use as much glue as what I would use when it comes time for the final assembly. And because this is also probably going to be looking basically straight ahead, I'm okay with keeping the rear arc basically just straight behind the machine. So we'll set that aside so that can continue to dry. We'll move on here to the torso. So we'll do the cannon probably last, because we want to get everything else in place and then really kind of sell this pose, right? Because that's my vernacular, my way of kind of saying, like, when I'm building my my forces, whether it's a company or a battalion. I really want to be able to, like any of my models, more and more, I want them to kind of have their own character, their own kind of flair, so that way when they're in my force or when I'm playing and they're on the table, they look kind of as dynamic as possible, right? Because that just, to me, is more fun than everyone kind of just standing at parade rest. So let's go ahead and we can go ahead and attach the torso to the pelvis. Well, this hopefully isn't going to be a problem with the toes. I may have to add a little bit more glue to the toes. And like I said, we're gonna want this to be kind of planted, feet ready to shoot. I want it aiming basically straight ahead from where the pelvis is, well, actually counter of where the rear arc is. Right. Now let's attach the left arm. Normally I wait to attach the hand until after the arm is assembled, because I like the hand to kind of be posed in response to everything else. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the closed claw, and I like to set mine so it looks kind of like a plus sign. Like if I'm looking at it head on, it's got, you know, clear top and bottom and clear left and right. And I just feel that, I don't know, to me that kind of looks cool. You could also twist it and it's more of like an X pattern. Whatever you want to do, it's fine. It's a more of like a, you know, manipulator claw anyway. Put a little bit there on the ball joint, and because I want this kind of angled like he's going to be firing the cannon any moment, I'm going to angle the arm slightly down. It's kind of bent and ready to, you know, just distribute the recoil from the cannon. And for the right arm, so the way that this shoulder works, you plug this piece into the shoulder socket, and you can rotate it to, you know, whatever angle you're going to want when you glue it. The top is considered to be where you have these three panels. On the bottom, it's going to be much smoother. And the arm will just plug into there, and I can kind of manipulate in there like how far I want it to kind of push out or whatnot, so that with the pose I kind of get its own kind of thing. But maybe what I want is for the right arm to kind of be ready to fire in case an enemy does get close, but primarily it's going to be focused on, you know, the machine firing the cannon. But because the arm is going to be basically straight ahead, I know that when I plug in and glue the shoulder, that it can be basically at a very neutral position. Do some glue here. Going to pop that in, but we don't want it to go too far in, because if I'm not careful, then like you saw, it started to twist. Now for the cannon, you'll notice this triangular kind of cutout, just like with the pelvis, that indicates the top of the cannon. So this, put some glue, we know that we're going to kind of raise it up. So when we plug this in, I'm going to pop it up quite a bit, because it's going to be more of kind of a, you know, it's a ballistic cannon, so it's going to be more angled upward. And there we are. The braced Musketeer, all posed, all assembled, and ready to start blasting some bad guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you would like to purchase this model, you can click the link in the description, or you can go to our web store.